who heeded the call for action. And this is step one. So welcome, and thank you very much. I'm thrilled that you're here. First of all, I want to make a disclaimer. This is a Lefevre-Matson-free zone for the day. So we will not be talking about Tim Lefevre and Ken Matson and any of the issues around that, except for one respect, which is just as a point of history in terms of how we got here. So is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And who are you?
I just assumed you all knew who I was. My name is Lisa Stormett, president of Up Sonoma. I would also like to introduce, thank you. I'd also like to introduce David, back there, David Eicher. He is our treasurer. And Rose Eicher, who is our vice president and secretary. And then Elizabeth, who is our board member, who, the Energy Plus board member. All right, so if you do have questions about Lefevre-Matson, I would like you to know that you can always email us. You can always look on Facebook. You can always get our email blast. Or, as what happens most of the time, I see you in the grocery store. You can ask me anything you want. Okay, so I also want to introduce four people who came today and agreed to be facilitating our small groups. Okay, can you guys stand up? Okay, this is Angela Ryan. Angela was former CEO of Sonoma Valley Education Foundation. We have Gary Saperstein out in the vineyard, who is the owner founder. Kathy Weber, she and Curran Reichert both come from First Congregational Church, and they have been an incredible support to Up Sonoma. So, thank you guys for helping us. And of course, there's Michelle Dale Jernigan, and she is the co-founder of G3 Sonoma, and she's agreed to help us today with these exercises. So how did we get here? We formed as a grassroots organization when we started to see that there was a lot of land grab going on. We saw some of our beloved businesses being taken over, or at least owned. Some of them were being left in disrepair. A lot of the housing that was bought was being left to blight and neglect. That was going on actually since 2015, so it was going on and on. In 2022, there was a group of people that went to that famous town hall meeting that was held by Matson and his attorney to talk about, what the community wanted, supposedly. And as it turned out, they really didn't care what the community wanted. So that was the spark that kind of brought this group together. We started doing a lot of research. Phil Barber, you guys know him from the Sonoma Index Tribune and the Press Democrat. He started doing a lot of research on the properties, and that piqued our interest as well. And then David and Phil paired up as a super researcher team. And they just started uncovering a lot of things about the trend of buying and the properties. Then we started thinking, well, who is this Lefevre and Matson? Who are they? So we started looking a little bit more deeply into their background. And what we discovered was that Tim Lefevre had deep ties to the Council for National Policy and to several other groups that are considered hate groups by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And those groups are tied to things like book banning, overturning marriage equality, homophobia and transphobia policies, systemic racism. It kind of goes on and on. It's sort of like an early harking to what we're seeing now is in Project 2025. And the reason for that is because Project 2025 is backed by the Council for National Policy and the Heritage Foundation. So we started to panic a little bit. We're like, why do we have this direct link here? What are they doing here? So that led to the discovery of the 7 Mountain Mandate. Now, some of you guys might not know what that is. There is a handout on the back table that explains it, but basically it's a Christian nationalist agenda to come into a community like ours, start buying things up, get into the top 10% of the 7 areas, the 7 branches, and then basically just kind of take over the community and become more like Shasta or Redding. And I just want to say that we identified this at the time as being an early harbinger of what we see now as Project 2025. I'm just going to say that without saying we were right, we were right. So those alarm bells led us to realize, you know what, why did they choose Sonoma? Why us? What is that about? So we saw the real estate buying was not actually the disease, it's a symptom of the disease. So we started kind of, really digging more deeply into that and putting together some ideas about what could be going on. We began to bring in education. So we had 3 films about Christian nationalism and how they came to be. Just as a heads up, on September 7th, we're going to have a panel, an amazing panel. Brad Onishi, any of you know who he is? Peter Coyote and David Vasquez Levy from the Pacific School of Religion, who is a colleague of Curran's. Those 3 are like a powerhouse point of education. So if you want to know what Project 2025 is about and how it's going to affect you, come to that. So that's just an example of what we've decided to do is inform and educate. Can you not hear me?
No, I'm just going to say, where's it going to be held?
Things will be coming out about it. It's not quite up yet, but it's going to be at Burlingame Hall. Okay, so we saw that there were gaps in our community. The gaps, if you get a chance to come up here, examples of things that we saw. I'm not going to read them to you because it will take too long, but it's only a few examples of the gaps that we saw in our community and that we're concerned about. So we decided that we needed to become a nonprofit in April of 2023 and adjust our original vision, which was basically to figure out what was going on with the Matsons and protest and boycott. So our new mission, our vision is to foster a vibrant and welcoming Sonoma Valley community where every resident and visitor feels accepted, valued, and rejected.
Respect. That's what I would do.
Comic relief, We promise we won't reject you. I just want to say there's a group of think tank people that have really helped us with this. Some of you may know Brian Perea, who is the one who did all of our graphics for this PowerPoint and for our new messaging that's out there in the back. It's going to be up on our website pretty soon. Rick Mordesevich and Warren Chase were really helpful, as well as Chad Bullock and Gene Bogdan. These are people that have really shown up for us in a lot of ways. They've gotten together and helped us strategize. And then my secret weapon for events has been Gary Saperstein. So every time we have an event, I'm like, okay, can I buy you lunch? So it's been a long journey, but I think we're there. We're at our new vision and our new mission. Here's our mission. I'll try not to screw this one up. We advocate for civic and corporate transparency, foster diversity, support our local community, and promote democracy by encouraging citizens to be informed, connected, and engaged. And I think, that's a decent thing to do. we believe in preserving our local Sonoma character, and the reason why we landed with that was because of how we started to see our character in Sonoma starting to change with the Matsons. And civic and business transparency. Somebody comes in here and they buy up a lot of land and businesses, and they don't tell you what they're doing. We need to know what they're doing. We need an advocacy organization to, kind of flesh that out. Fostering diversity and equity and inclusion. Activate our community to promote democracy and social justice, which will be especially important this year. And so these are the ways that we do those things. And you'll see the signs around the room, and I'm not going to read those to you because basically they're on the signs around the room and you're going to talk about them. But what I want to say is that Sonoma doesn't have an advocacy group. Sonoma has nonprofit groups that help other people. They help, there's a lot of good that's being done, a lot of charitable giving, a lot of really good work that's being done here. But we don't have an advocacy group who's watching out to make sure that those nonprofits that want to help people can do that unfettered by racism and the lack of diversity, inclusion, and social justice. We need an advocacy group here. And I'm going to tell you that we applied for grants in Sonoma from the two organizations that give grants to nonprofits, and we were turned down because we're too political. So I don't know how you say, these things that we're working on are political, but they're, I think, essential to a community. So we need to continue to raise our voices, and we can't do that without you guys. There are sign-up sheets in the back for you to specifically sign up for something to help us move our mission forward. We're Wake Up Sonoma is small. You saw, I introduced the 4 people that are actively involved in Wake Up Sonoma. And we can't go very far with these 4 people. We have a great community of support. We have, we need donations in order to keep going because getting grants is turning out to be more challenging than I had thought. And so we need, people in this room and then people to come to the table and help us out with this. So with that, I'm going to introduce Michelle. She's going to run us through the rest of our session here and keep us on track. Thank you.